So it should be, I think you can stay for an hour or two later if needed. But anyways, let's go over some basic annotations. And so we'll go back to the level 1 floor plan, and you should have your grid lines still in here and your walls. Let me see what all is left. Yeah, it should be just the grid lines and the walls. So we'll go here and we'll go to view and we'll go to section, and let's make a section view about in the middle of the room. Additionally, before we go through and set up all our annotations, let's just put a basic architectural floor in here, floor and ceiling. So we'll just go to architecture, then floor, and we can choose, wood joist 10-inch, wood finish, a nice wood floor for the office. And let's put those here. And what we're doing, we're just selecting the walls using the pick walls tool, and then just selecting each one of these walls. And when you select the walls, for example, you should see this little dashed line in the middle of the wall, which means it's just placing it in the center of the wall. And then, as you notice over here, it's based off of level 1, which is the level we're in right now. It's not offset any from the level. It's room bounding. It's not a structural floor. Like I said, this is just an architectural floor, and it's in new construction. Also, we'll get into, if we have time, we'll get into a little bit of phasing at the end of this class. But for right now, everything is new construction. So we'll hit the check mark here to finish the floor. And as we can see, it's right here. Since level 1 is at the bottom of this wall, the floor, like I said, goes from the level downwards. So then what we're going to do is go to the level 1 ceiling plan, and we're going to get rid of these rooms in here. You probably don't have them in your model, or they might be hidden, either way. And we're going to go to ceiling, and we'll go to gypsum wallboard on metal stud. So you just go to this drop down in the ceiling, pick GWB on metal stud, and we'll automatically be able to sketch the ceiling via this automatic ceiling tool, and just click inside each one of the rooms. Now, because this is a drywall ceiling and it's a uniform finish, and so it's smooth across the front of the drywall, you won't be able to see the ceiling in this view. If it were a 2x2 2x2 ACT system, we would be able to see it. So let me go through and take out one of the ceilings just by hitting Control Z. And if you notice here, you can see the 2x2 ceiling. Just this. It's just based off of the pattern that you have assigned to the ceiling. And that pattern, if you go into edit type, whoops, it's within the properties of the ceiling. But for right now, we're just going to go through and put our drywall ceiling in here, and then hit escape once we're done placing that. And so if we go into the 3D view by hitting the little house button, we should be able to see our floor and ceiling by highlighting this. Whoops. Right-clicking and hit hide in view elements. And as you see here, our ceiling is placed. But if you notice, there's a little issue with the stairs. The stairs are running right into the ceiling. We can't have it. That's obviously a clash. So what we're going to do is just select this ceiling and hit edit boundary, and we'll go to the top view here, so that we can look right down on the model. And then we'll go here and select this and delete it. Delete this line, and delete this model line, and then hit TR for trim. It's also in the modify tab right here, trim/extend to corner. And as you notice on the little video, you just select one wall and then the other wall, and they extend together. Instead, we're going to select the model lines and go from this model line to this model line and extend. Then we're going to hit escape to get out of that tool and hit the check mark. And what this does is it simply trims the ceiling from where we were to not having any ceiling right here at all, instead of just being flush right with the wall. So what we're going to do from here, we'll unhide all the elements in the building, and then come out of the unhide view, and we'll go back to level 1. And so this should be level 1 ceiling, and we're back in level 1. So here you can see our nice wood flooring that we put in, and our ceiling is above it. So in order to see the section view, we have to double click on this section view. That's kind of redundant. And we can see we can see the section of our building. And so if you notice, you have the floor right here and the ceiling right here. And so say we wanted to see a close-up of just this wall construction where it connects with the floor and the ceiling, we would go to view and then call out to make a call out. And we'll just do the basic rectangle right here. So just hit on that. And we can click and place the call out right here. And again, like the section view, all we have to do to see the call out is double click on the call out right here. And we can see the call out that has the little part of the wall, the ceiling, and the floor, as well as, I guess this is the window in the background. Now this in and of itself is not very glamorous, it's not super exciting, but I'll get to the exciting part in a bit. For right now, we're just going to annotate it. And so we'll use this align tool. Actually, let me go back. Let's go back and edit this little section view, and let's put it in the window. Whoops. Just so we can see the window as part of the call out. And we'll change this down here from the detail level from being coarse to fine. And so we can see each of the elements in the building and in the wall, ceiling, and floor. Again, how to do that, you go down to the detail level tool, which is on the bottom of the screen here. Click on it and go to fine. It should be in coarse to begin with, which gives you this screen, but then you go to fine down here. Again, you can define that in the properties of the wall, the floor, the ceiling, etc., etc. Is everybody following along? The section view? Okay, we go to level 1. Do you have it like this? You see where my mouse is? Just double click on that. And have you made your call out? Okay. In order to make the call out, we just go to view, call out, and then again we double click on the call out, and we'll be able to see the call out here. Additionally, they're located in the project browser under sections, right here. You have the section 1 and then section 1 call out. So to annotate this, what we'll have to do, let me see here. What we will have to do is go to the Annotate tab, and let's make some dimensions. So we'll go to linear dimensions. Sometimes linear dimensions give you a fit. Yeah. So we'll go to Align Dimensions, and we can start on level 1, go up to the bottom of the window, go up to the top part of the window, and then the bottom part of the floor. So we can clearly see the height of the window and where it'll be installed. Let's move this back a little just to give us a little bit of space to work with. We uh-huh. Do you want me to go back through that? You just go to your section view, and then in order to make this call out, we go to view, and then right next to section in view, you hit the call out button. You got that? And once we're in the call out, just make it a fine detail down here. And let's give ourselves a little bit of space here. So we're just going to widen this. And if we want the total height of the floor up to the ceiling, we can go floor to ceiling, and you can see we have 8-foot ceilings. This corresponds to the height offset from level, 8 foot right here. So this is in a sense checking yourself on what you just did, and you can clearly see it's 8 foot above the floor. Additionally, we may want to add tags to certain components of the building. And so if you have, say, multiple different windows and multiple different doors and multiple floors, toilets, dividers, that kind of thing, you're going to want tags so you can see what is what when you're developing your plans. So what we're going to do is use this tag by category. And we're going to go to the window and click on the window. And it should be defined as whatever you make that. So if we make this window 1, you can make it window 1. Or it should default to the type of window you have loaded in there, and so it'll give you the number count on which window it is. Additionally, if you need to change how the leader is broken up, there should be a little button, this little circle, that you can grip and move the leader along with. So if you want to make it out and then up, you just go like that. Now, sometimes we need a keynote to specify certain materials. So in order to specify certain materials, you would click on the keynote button, which is right here in the Annotate tab, and it should be defaulted to the material keynote. Additionally, you have an element keynote and a user keynote, but we're going to go with the material keynote. So say, for example, we want to make a keynote on this brick. We could just click on the brick, click again to make the first part of the leader, and then again over here to make the second part of the leader. And then we can go into the divisions and go into masonry and go into clay unit masonry, and say this is, I don't know, economy brick 3/8 joint. We'll just hit OK. Do what? Yeah. Yeah. some keynotes are not, they're not always visible. So if it's not, yeah, we should be able to see it. And you do it just like that, and it'll automatically realize that it is that kind of material every time you hover over top of the material. And so, for example, if you move over to this air gap, it no longer recognizes it as that certain brick. So you actually have to define what kind of material it is for every part within that component. So what we're going to do now, since we have this 2D view, Revit actually enables us to do 3D annotations as well as in accompanying 2D annotations. So if you need to see something in 3D view, let me show you how to get there. What we have to do is go to 3D views and hit this little plus button. Right click on the default 3D view and hit duplicate. And let's rename this to call out 1 3D view, just so we can keep everything in line. And then what we have to do is go over to the navigation wheel, bring it out, and right click on it. And then once you right click on it, you can orient to view and go to section 1 call out. And so what that should do, this should look familiar. It's our call out from our section 1 view, and you can actually turn this into a 3D view. And so if you notice, this is the corner of our building. This is where we obviously transition from floor to floor. You have your window here, your floor here, and your walls here, as well as your ceiling up here. So what we're going to do, let's shrink this up a little bit. And we can go to the wall, for example, and let's hit create parts. Is everybody following along here? What do you need? Have you made the 3D view? So you duplicated the 3D view like this. Yeah, just hit duplicate. And then from there, go to the navigation wheel, let it come out, right click on the navigation wheel, go to orient to view, are you there? And then go to section 1 call out line, and that'll bring us to where we were originally. And then in order to orbit around this call out, just hold down shift in the middle of your mouse, and you should be able to rotate the view. So I'm going to go back over here to my call out 1 3D view, same view. And so now what we're going to do is make parts from this wall. So in Revit, you have your original parts or your original families or components. For example, this wall is considered a component together, but additionally it has parts within it. So you have the brick and you have the air boundary, and then you have the sheathing, and you should have the plywood, the metal studs, and then the drywall on the inside. And each one of these is a certain part of the makeup of the wall. So to illustrate this, we'll go ahead and click on the wall, and we'll hit this Create Parts tool in the Create group of the Modify tab. And that will make this wall into individual parts. So as you see, if you hover over top of the different parts of the wall, you see you have your brick, your air barrier, your sheathing, your studs, and then your gypsum wall board on the inside, instead of just this one unit wall on the top. So to look at this, we'll go ahead and select each one of the parts we can either individually select them and then scroll down to show shape handles and check on that and hit apply. And then we'll be able to edit this individual part. Say for example, we want to slide this down. What we're going to do is go ahead and annotate each one of these parts and set a keynote on each one of the parts. So we'll go through and we'll select each one of the parts, show the shape handles, make them go down a little bit. I believe somebody said they had to leave at 6:15 or 6:30. It's already 6:28, so just a heads up. And we'll show these shape handles, and we'll continue to move it down so we can see the composition of this wall. Now as you see here, this is each one of the individual parts of this wall. I think it's pretty cool. Additionally, if you see in the properties here, in order to see this, you have to go to the parts visibility, show parts, because if you go back to show original, it will get rid of what we just did and show this in the original form. So we have to go to show parts and hit apply. See you later. And we'll see the breakdown of the parts of the wall.
What is the last point you said? Show original?
Do what?
The last point you mentioned about showing it original.
Uh-huh.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah. Do you see up here in the properties palette? If you go to parts visibility and you go to the drop down, you should see show original. Click on that and hit apply, and it'll go back to the original way the wall was all put together. Do you see where that is?
Okay.
And then in order to get back, all you have to do is hit show parts. And then you should have the breakdown of the wall as it is here. Now, in order to annotate this, let's go ahead and make this into parts as well. The floor. And we'll go ahead and make the shape handles on the entire floor as well. So we can take this and slide it along and slide it here, so we can break this down as well. Actually, I should have done that backwards. So what we're going to do here, in order to annotate things in 3D, you have to lock your 3D view. So we can clearly see each of the parts here in Revit of the wall composition as well as the floor composition. You can go ahead and do the ceiling if you want to. I'm not going to do it right now because we're running low on time. In order to lock our view, we have to go down to the Unlock 3D View button on the bottom of your viewport. And this looks kind of like the 3D View button up here, but it has a little lock on the front of it, and it looks like it's a little unlocked. And we just click that, and we go to Save Orientation and Lock View. And what that allows us to do, we can still zoom in and out of our view, but we can pan with the view, but we cannot orbit with the view. So it sets this in the way that we have it. Now say, for example, we want to go ahead and put keynotes, material keynotes on this. We just go ahead and place it on the different materials. Now this is already, it already has the brick loaded in here, but if you wanted to go through and do the air barrier, we will place it here, and let's see here. I don't know what part this will be, but if we go through like here and thermal and moisture protection, and we go to vapor retarders and moisture barrier, and just hit OK, it'll come up with the the section number for that, and then we can go through and make metal studs here. So we go to, structural metal stud framing, and we'll go to a 3.5-inch metal stud for that. I'm not 100% sure if that corresponds, but that's how you make that. You just go ahead and you do that for each one of the materials within your composition, of whether it's the floor composition or the wall composition. You just add the keynotes to show the different materials. Additionally, let me see here. Don't think you can go like that. No. Anyways, that allows us to see the breakdown of the wall. And so, from a construction standpoint, if you don't know exactly how the wall is formed, or if you don't know exactly what materials they are, this gives you much greater visibility, especially if you're on the field, so you can see how everything comes together. So you can see it in both the standard 2D section view as well as a 3D section view, and it just increases the communicative ability of the model. So let's move on to dividing these parts for some systems. So what we'll do, let's go into the level 1 floor plan, and let's put some systems in here. And I'm not sure if, okay, duct fitting should not be installed, not be loaded in here. So what we need to do is go to the Insert tab, go to Load Family, go to Mechanical, MEP, Airside Components, and then we'll go, I take that back, we go to, is duct one of these? Duct, fittings, oval, and then go to elbows. And what I want you to do is go ahead and highlight all of these and then hit open. With the reason being, one of the big headaches you'll encounter when you're working with systems is that you don't have the right fittings in order to connect your pipes or connect your ductwork, connect your whatever systems you're putting together. And Revit will not allow you to go through and make the different lines that you need to make. For example, if you're going through say for example we're making some ductwork and we have a room here, we have these walls, it's almost like a building. If we need to make, if the mechanical equipment is here, we have to make ductwork go from here down here. Revit will not allow us to make this little elbow joint without loading in the duct fittings, and so when you go through, you got to define where the fittings are, especially if you need to make any T connections, if you need to go up or down or wherever you need to go. So you inevitably have to install, or not necessarily install, but insert each one of the fittings for that equipment. For that ductwork, whether it's pipes, ductwork, whatever. The elbow? You have to go to the load, and then you go to duct. I'm sorry, I went to the mechanical equipment first. Go to duct, and then go to fittings, and then go to oval, and then go to elbows, and just load all of them in here. And inevitably, what you can do at the end of your project, if the project is so big because you have all of these different families loaded in there, what you can do is purge the project of unused components. And what that'll do, if you have families loaded in here that you didn't end up using in the project, it'll get rid of them from the project, so your file is not too big to use or too burdensome to use. But as I was saying, this is just for the oval ductwork. You got to go back through again and go to, if you want to go to rectangular or round or multi-shape here, you got to do it for every single one of them. But for us, we're just going to go through into the oval. So all we need to do is go to systems and then ductwork. And as you see here, it's automatically set to 9 foot tall. So that'll be a foot above our ceilings, but a foot below the floors on the next level. So it's right in between those, just like it should be. Again, you can modify this height, and you can modify the justification right here with the middle, bottom, top in accordance to what you need. Because, for example, you might not necessarily have 8 foot ceilings or 10 foot ceilings or whatever, so you can change it to whatever you need to and then put it right above wherever your tile system is or whatever. And as you see here, the horizontal justification is in the center and the middle. So if we have our oval pipe here, we're starting right in the middle. And we'll just click these on. This is more important if you have different size pipes. Not necessarily too important here, but we'll just click one for future reference. What this will do, it will connect your pipe to whatever, ducts in this case. It'll connect your duct to other ducts of the same height. So if you have one that's 9 foot and you have one that's 4 foot, it'll make the connection go from the 9 foot to the 4 foot and make that slope. Additionally, if you go, for example, this is 12 foot wide by 12 foot tall. If you need to go from 12 inches by 12 inches to 6 inches by 6 inches, it'll make that fitting to change the size. But all we're going to do is go to edit type, and we're going to change the routing preferences. Again, this is where the elbow and the T and all that come into place. And we'll make the elbow, let's just go with gourd standard and hit OK. And then we'll hit OK again. And now what we'll do, since this is our mechanical room, we'll just click from here and we'll go over and we'll go over again into this room. And as you see here, we will not be able to view it in our floor plan because it is 9 foot tall, which is above the view range of our floor plan. However, if we go into the 3D view and we look here, it's sitting right above the ceiling. Now, when we get into clash detection, this in and of itself presents a clash because the pipe goes directly through the wall. So obviously, we have a problem, we got to fix the problem. So what we'll do, we'll go to the right justification and we'll highlight the first floor, and we'll hide these elements so we can easily see where exactly our pipe is. Now what we're going to do, we're going to change this wall into a part, and this is going to parlay into something else in a few minutes. And again, we're going to create parts with the wall. And now what we're going to do is divide these parts over here, and we'll click that, and we'll go to edit sketch, and we're going to set our work plane on the front of this wall. So we're just going to go to set work plane. We're going to go to go through what?
From the moment we try to class election, two systems back. Can you repeat, please?
Okay, let me see where I was. Was this a part yet?
Yeah, yeah.
Right about here? Okay, so you can see where the pipe is in your 3D view, and you can see it goes right here into the wall. And the reason Revit says this is a clash, obviously, because the ductwork goes right through the wall. And see, when we run this through Navisworks, it'll show there's a clash here with the wall. How do you want to remedy it? And so what I'm going to show you now is how exactly to remedy this. So we're going to go through and we're going to highlight the first floor, and we're just doing this so we can have visibility. I mean, we're going to highlight the second floor. We're just doing this so we can have visibility on the first floor. And we'll right click on this, hit hide in view elements. And so we can just see our first floor walls. And then what we're going to do, we'll select this wall and hit edit profile. I'm sorry, create parts by saying. And then from create parts, we'll go to divide parts right here. And then we're going to go to edit sketch. And the sketch is not set anywhere really. Let me see where this is exactly. It's way down on the first floor, and we don't want it on the first floor. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the work plane, and we'll go to pick a plane and hit OK. And then we'll just select the front of this wall, and that should enable us to draw right on the front of this wall. And so we can make a circle in the middle of this duct. However, if you're on the site, you're not going to go through and just make a little hole for the duct. You're going to make a big old square space for the duct to be placed in when you're framing it or when you're doing the drywall. So what we want to do is go ahead and make this rectangle and make the rectangle big enough for the duct to fit through. So we'll go through a little bit on the side and a little bit on the bottom. In fact, if you want to snap it to the ceiling, you can right here. So it clearly fits the entirety of the duct. As you can see right here, I can't get it perfectly to it. And then we'll hit the check mark. And we'll hit the check mark again. And that divides that section, that divides that part out specifically for this duct. So what we have to do is highlight these parts and hit exclude parts. And as you can see here, the ductwork goes right through the hole and you have plenty of space for it. And so when you run your clash detection, then you shouldn't come up with any clashes and it can go right through. So to illustrate this example a little bit more, I'm going to go through and let's go ahead and make some more openings and some walls. Yeah. Uh-huh. So we're right here. This is the divided part. All you have to do, just highlight the parts. Now you can do this by one by clicking on the individual parts and then hit exclude parts. But to do it quickly, see you later. To do it quickly, we'll just select it to the right instead of to the left, just in order to select just those parts. And we'll hit exclude parts. And so because this is in fine detail and because these are parts, you can see here this is the drywall. Well, shoot, you should Oh, you weren't?
No.
Can you do it now?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you can see here, the the ductwork clearly goes right through it, and depending on how strict, whether it's the architect, the engineer, or the contractor is with modifying this, you can either make it really tight or a little bit looser. I like to make it a little bit looser, especially if you're working with an HVAC guy, because they're going to be up in the ceiling and they got about this much space to work with, and nobody wants to work with really tight stuff, especially when you have space to work with. So just go ahead and make it big enough for them to fit the pipe through and not have to hassle with it. So additionally, another cool part about that's redundant. Another cool aspect of parts is the ability to change the material within this wall. So say for example, we have, let's say we're at Firebirds, the restaurant, and there's a wall typically in Firebirds where they have like a wine rack in the middle of it, and they have the bar like right here, and they have all the different wines right here going up the ceiling, up to up this wall, and they have like a different face on this wall, and so they have like stacked stone or something over here, just to make it look pretty, some kind of architectural feature to capture the essence of the restaurant per se. In order to do that, you can either make a component specifically for that wine rack, but if you don't really want to do that and you want to make the part within the wall, because say it sits in where that wall is, what you would do is go through here, and let's right click on this, let's hide the ceiling. Or even for example, if you're in a kitchen and you're making a backsplash, and say instead of this wine rack, you have this kitchen, and you have like your countertop here, and your cabinets down here, and so you got your upper cabinets here, and you want to make your stack stone pattern right along here, but the wall actually continues out to wherever, like over here, but you just want your stack stone to be right here. That's a lot of years. We can divide the part of this wall and change it to stack stone. So, in order to do that, let's go ahead and select this wall, and this is like the reception room of the building. And so, say you got the receptionist's office behind, even though we already said this is a conference room beforehand, we're going to change that to a receptionist's office for the moment. What we're going to do is create parts again, and as you can see, we have all our parts defined here. Your stud layer, and then you have your gypsum wallboard. And we're going to divide parts again. And we'll go to Edit Sketch, just like we did before. We'll set this work plane. We'll go to Pick a Plane. We'll select OK. And we'll pick this part. And then let's say she has like a little opening in the wall so you can slide, your applications or your money or whatever through. Are you following along? We'll go to select the rectangle tool, and we'll go right here and we'll make a little rectangle, and oh shoot, I'm making another opening. Let's go ahead, let's define this like the Firebirds wall and just define it into a different part. Regardless, we need the same thing. We'll just make this a rectangle, and we'll select OK. And as you see here, it's a little square within the part, so it's a part within a part. And what we're going to go to, instead of going to excluded, we're going to go down a little farther, and we're going to go to this material by original, and that's by default checked on all of them. And what that means is, because this is gypsum wallboard, this little part right here is going to be gypsum wallboard as well. But say we don't want that to be gypsum wallboard, say this is like a cork board that we have sitting in the office, we're going to check off of that. And to change that, we go here to the material, and let's go ahead and make this aluminum. Where are you? Metal aluminum. So like say it's a feature within the reception room, some kind of art, something like that. And we'll select OK. And if we go to the realistic view, although it's a little subtle here, you can clearly see that this is drywall and this is your aluminum. But if we want to, let's make this into brick, just so you can easily see the difference. So see, it's obviously brick in comparison to your drywall, and you can change that to whatever material you want. And it's not necessarily interior; it can be interior or exterior. Um, Additionally, you can do this with floors and ceilings. It's not strictly confined to your walls. So let's go ahead. Let's do a floor for an example, and we'll go ahead to this floor. Oh, this is already parts. Perfect. We'll go to this. Actually, let's go to the top of the floor. We'll go ahead and we'll divide this. And we'll go to Edit Sketch, and we'll set our work plane again, like we do in every one of these, and we'll set it to the floor. And let's say when we come in, we want to make a little bit of tile. So if the patron's shoes are wet, we don't want to put that directly onto our hardwood floor and then warp our floor. So we'll go ahead and we'll draw this line in here. Say it's near the window and it's at a 90-degree angle. Say it's 7 foot long. And we'll bring it over to the wall here. So this defines this little section of the floor. And we'll go ahead and hit check. And we'll hit check again. And as you can see, this is separated from the other part of the floor. And we'll go back down to material by original. We'll check off of that. And we'll go to material. And let's see here. Anything good? Make it concrete. It'll be finished concrete. And so clearly you have the concrete section here, and then you have your wood section there. Alright. I don't think we have time to go through the schedules. So if y'all would, please save this. And we'll go through the schedules next class. But before we go, let's go ahead and prep up these models for the finishing up mechanical modeling. And then we'll finish up mechanical modeling next class, and then we'll go into scheduling parts versus original and show the discrepancies. Because like here, if you do a material takeoff on this floor, it'll come up 100% with the floor with the wood if you have it in the original. So we switch this to show original. As you can see, everything goes back to how it was. If you go back to buy parts, it'll go back to what we changed in here, which is a little bit different. And that'll be reflected in the schedule. So you can either make a schedule based off of, or I should say a quantity takeoff. You can either make a takeoff based off of the original modeling or the parts modeling. And it'll have a little bit of discrepancy there as well. Before we go, let's go ahead and insert some mechanical equipment. So we'll go to insert, load, family, let's see here, mechanical, MEP, airside components, and we'll go to air conditioners. Let's go ahead and make a rooftop AC unit because this is a commercial building. Go ahead and open that up, and that'll be preloaded in here. We can also load some plumbing equipment. So let's just make a regular stand-up water heater in here, and we should be good. We can go ahead and load some piping. We'll go to the fittings, and let's say we use carbon steel, class 150 flange, and let's go ahead and load all of these as well. All right, and if we have all that loaded up, we should be good and prepped up for next class. I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording and I'll upload it to bimforaec.com. Again, that is bimforaec.com. I'll send y'all an email with that later on. I have the site almost ready. I have the recording from last class already done. I already have it uploaded um, to the YouTube site, and then that'll get linked to the website for this. Um, but I should have it up by tomorrow at the latest. It's been taking me a while because I never made a website before, but that's okay. All right. Hope y'all have a good rest of the day, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Can you save your file also?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and save. I'm gonna save this and I'll upload
Okay.
to it as well.
We have the budget, we can do it.
Yeah, that works.